Yes. Okay. So this is really how I would determine. Now, for a woman, I would go 200 to 400. And as I said yesterday, there's many cases when girls would just go 1,000 calories under, 1,500 calories under. Yeah. And I don't know if it's popular here in UK, but in America and then in many other countries that, I don't know if you heard about HCG diet. Did you guys hear it? It's HCG, human chorionic gonadotropin. Yeah, it's some injections that you would take for different purposes, but they call that specific diet, right? And it was working phenomenally. So what you need to do, you shoot that high HCG at, I think it was 250 IUs a day or something stupid, but you can only eat 500 calories. You know, so 500 calorie diet. I mean, you know, think about it. You know, there is no person on earth that have a BMR of 500. So even if you're in a state of coma, that's deficient. But this is just to tell you that was recommended even by some doctors, medical doctors, basically giving you catastrophic information. If you're going to do that, of course, what's going to happen, you're going to starve yourself. And as you know, that most of the diseases nowadays and health issues are coming from malnutrition or nutrition deficiencies or something like this. It's just a metabolic disaster. And this is recommended. So I would tell you, schedule your competition dieting weeks ahead, monitor what's happening, inspect what you expect, right? If things is not happening, okay, you tell me, Larry, like, okay, if you have a coach needs to be responsible and, okay, monitor what's happening. Are you going in the right direction? Sometimes, of course, we just get into that mode and you don't really question it. I would really tell you, every day is an opportunity to improve. You know, whatever you do, it's not, okay, now it's off season. I don't even like the term off season. What does it mean off? Off season for bodybuilders was usually good excuse to get fat. Yeah, oh, I'm getting big.
Yeah, just an excuse to be lazy and not train hard, eat what you want.
Yes, yes. This is really.
Because the funny thing about it is, people say, you know what, if I ate for 12 weeks like I did for a contest and I did that off season, I'll be gaining muscle. Yeah, but why don't you do it? Yeah. You know?
No, I really think that you should be true to your heart. If you're an athlete and you're doing this as a physique artist, because I do believe that we're all physique artists, you should not lie to yourself. Every day is a possibility to improve in whatever aspect. Now, of course, if you have some lacking body parts that you want to build up in so-called off-season, then you cannot be deficient with the calories, right? You have to be, you know, sufficient. But if you're training 2 times a week, that body part, I would have you that 2 times a week on a above requirement caloric intake for those days. And then especially you can drive with the other pharmaceuticals, right? You can ensure that these muscles are getting the nutrients inserted in.
So if someone's under eating, so let's say for example, 800 to 1,000 calories when they first come to you, and their BMR say 2,000 calories, would you stagger their calories over a period of time? Would you kind of try and get them up straight up there?
No, it would be risky to, okay, for example, if you're 1,000 calories less, right now, for a long time, and your requirement is 4,000, but your body is now having a metabolic rate of 3,000 because you were dieting like this. If I jump up you on 1,000 calories immediately, it's probably risk. Some of that would be stored, and some can be stored in the wrong places like body fat. So I would probably raise you up like 300 calories weekly. You know, so weekly it's a good enough period of time that I can slowly bring you back up. I would insist on, okay, intra-workout nutrition, so pre, during, post-workout supplements, because that's the safest way to bring those nutrients in. And I don't know how common it is here to take this pre, during, post. I haven't been really talking much about supplementation in England. I never even asked you, do you take a during workout supplement or no?
Yeah, I do.
You do?
Yeah.
And what do you take?
Before I work out, I take some dextrose, like about 50 grams, and take some BCAs, some, yeah. Yeah, during as well. Yeah, so like I'll drink about 500 milliliters first, you know what I mean, before I start my workout. Yeah, and then I will just be sipping throughout my workout. And then when I finish, I'll have a post-workout drink.
So you are doing it, so he's doing what I would be doing. But is it common in England?
Not really, because the problem is when people are dieting, they're scared of the carbs.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, so when they think they have to drink this many carbs while they're training, they're thinking they're gonna get fat.
I know that, and I have that problem all the time.
And the thing what I've learned is that like at first when I was doing it, I was feeling very full, and then after a couple of weeks, it just become normal now, just like drinking water. And if I'm not drinking anything while I'm working out now, it feels weird. So yeah.
Well, there you go. I mean, I don't know if you guys do it. Yeah, are you doing it?
Yeah, intra.
Yeah, and how much carbs do you take?
It's around 50 grams per target.
Okay, all right. But was your question directed to your personal knowledge that you are deficient in calories?
No, it's just obviously clients. We
A
get
client, okay.
the majority of clients
Yes.
get on the ring.
Well, this is what I'll tell you.
And
This.
then comes the psychology part of it as well. We're trying to encourage them to eat more. And
Yes.
use more carbs.
It is very, very hard. Even what he says, everybody is afraid. Well, please.
Especially the girls are anyway.
I know. Yes.
Yeah.
But if girls would be on no carbs, right? Still, when they are training, think about it. Energy that is being used is glucose, and if you have the glucose, there is no way that glucose is going to go anywhere else but in the muscle. It's going to be either used up, or worst case scenario, it's going to be stored as a glycogen because it's pushed by the insulin that is released because of the glucose that you're taking. So you can never go wrong. I mean, if you don't practice this, start.
So just say you have clients who are just strictly female fat loss, would you always use carbs and chocolate?
And for fat loss, yes, because look, to accomplish first and second, maintain or gain, right? I would like in that anabolic phase, as I was saying throughout the day, we have a 24 hours, we have a fat burning phase, right here, fat burning phase, then maintenance, and we have anabolic phase right here. So woman, man, kid, senior citizen, I don't care. If you're training, your goal is probably to anabolize. So there is no way you can become anabolic without glucose driving the insulin into the bloodstream, driving amino acids, ATP, glucose into the muscle. So even if you are 4 weeks out from the show, and even if you're behind the schedule, this is better because you might build some muscle, metabolically active tissue that's going to require now more calories. So the worst thing is that you can have is when you need little calories. Like if you kill your metabolism and you are here, you only can have then 2,800, for example, because that's your metabolism. You want to have a 4,000 requirement, so you can play with that. And it's going up and down. Yesterday, Luca was here, that's Italian cardiologist who was being prepared by a good friend of mine, Mauro Sassi. And the picture that you showed me today, the guy that was like crazy ripped, and most of the guys that he trains are like this, it's just amazing. He does exactly that, cycle the carbs. You go 250, 150, 50, and then 500.
Milos, when you were saying yesterday, like the fat burning phase, and you have breakfast, and you wouldn't recommend no carbohydrates at breakfast time?
No, this is, I know that you take, and
Because like for me,
yeah.
I always have like my oatmeal for breakfast.
Yes.
And if I didn't have that then, I think I would.
Crazy.
I couldn't make up for the carbs later, I think.
No. It's different. Maybe you didn't catch yesterday. Some people will give you carbs in every meal, no problem.
Yeah, obviously.
Yes. I was just thinking in general, most of the people that would always like to, lose some body fat right after the cardiovascular activity or interval training. That first meal, I would like to keep glucose in check. But they need to burn body fat.
Yeah.
So for somebody like you, that you say you have a fairly fast metabolism, you get in shape quite easily, and you still want to build up maybe quads to win that show that you're going to compete, I would not take oatmeal or any carbs
that's
away
what-
from you.
Because that's what I was thinking. I'm thinking it's your goals in the day, and obviously what type of metabolism you got as well.
Yeah.
Because when people read that, oh, you walk for 30 minutes, you burn this many calories, but how much does the person weigh?
Yeah.
If a person is heavier than a 100-pound guy and one's a 300-pound guy, the person who's 300 pounds is going to burn more calories.
Where did you find a 100-pound guy? Yeah, no, absolutely. But in professional bodybuilding, of course, you talk about
So
huge.
you can't just have a basic guideline saying, oh, you're going to burn this many calories. Every man's going to burn that many doing cycling. You know, but everybody's different.
Everybody's different, yes. But this is why, like I said, you see, this is individual for everybody, not something generalized. You know, so this is how you go to the stages: 1, 2, 3, 4. This was done weeks before. Now, these 3 I usually manipulated in the last week before the show. Laughing is gone. Maybe he wants to hear this, but oh well, you're going to tell him. You know, so. Approach that you want to do it for bodybuilding competitors, right? You need to deplete your glycogen storage. Glycogen is energy reserve of carbohydrates. They're stored in all the muscles and liver, right? It's very easily used by body. It's actually preferred source of energy for body carbohydrates, right? It's very accessible. The mistake that most of the people are doing, they kind of carb deplete, you know, so they drop the carbs and they not dropping enough, so they don't empty the glycogen, right? So if you have, like, let's say this would be glycogen storage capacity of the body, you know, and it's full, right? If you deplete a little bit, you know, it's going to just go back to the amount, right? However, if you completely deplete, if it's empty, now you're triggering this signal, alarming surviving mechanism of the body. Every time when there's something is completely missing, now body wants to supercompensate. And I can tell you, you know, the easiest, probably all of you experience, you know, hydration, dehydration, and superhydration. If you are dehydrated, so you have a less water for a while, right? It's alarming for the body. But once you start drinking, it's not going to just go back to normal. You're going to go on the other side and you're going to be blowed up and retain so much water until body senses there's no more danger and then go back. So the same way for glycogen, if you really want to do glycogen loading for the contest, you don't have to. But if you want to do it, you have to have a reason. Why would I do it? Okay? Don't just do it because everybody is doing it. Okay, why do we do that? Because if we supercompensate the glycogen, we can have more glycogen in the muscle, so more glucose and water, more volume. So you might end up looking, you know, that crazy full and tight because it's going to push through the skin, like it's going to volumize it. So it's not necessary. I know that a lot of coaches don't do this because it's risk, okay? If you don't time it, if you don't perfect it, you know, you're kind of risking. So most of us would go, okay, reserved. But when I was in the States and I worked with all the Olympic competitors, and over there, every little thing counts. Like it was Gustavo Badal, for example, there was no chance of him being in top 10 at Olympia. He made a top 3 by what? By specific carb loading manipulation. Or Dennis Wolf, 2007. It was just, okay, you take a little risk, but you push it, push it, push it. And
Do you recommend that then?
yeah, I would, but as I mentioned yesterday, for example, for you, if I prepare you or somebody else, regardless, you have to see somebody like you that have that full muscle bellies. Okay, let's speak openly so there's no bullshit around. And I said this yesterday, you can win any pro show with the improved legs. Why? Because you have that crazy thickness and round muscle bellies. Now, if this round muscle belly is completely filled, you are small now in comparison to what you're going to look on stage. I mean, for many years I competed, right? And then people would see me, you know, after the contest, oh, you know, what happened to you? So what do you mean? Oh, you look so much bigger on the stage. No, not now. Not now. Even when I was competing, right? Because I constantly